Today's episode is brought to you by elitefts.com. Founded in 1998 with the primary aim to live, learn, and pass on. Please help Elite FTS support this mission by smashing the like button, leaving a comment, sharing with a friend, and thinking of us for your training needs. If you can put it in a gym bag or load weights on it, Elite FTS has it.
What's going on? I'm Dave Tate. We are broadcasting from the middle of the Elite FTS weight room, where the underground still thrives and you're part of the crew. It's time to sit down, keep it real, and cut the bullshit. Welcome to Table Talk. What's going on, guys? We are back with episode 130. We had an episode yesterday. So we got back-to-back episodes. Today, the guests are Missy and Matt Truscott, and we're going to talk about training, fitness, nutrition, diet, motivation, or just whatever comes to our mind, right? So this is the third time I think you've been on, right? Yep. So when was the last time you were out here?
Gosh, like a year ago, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to come out after the Arnold, but just everything kind of, my headspace, I wasn't in the right headspace, so we jetted out.
Yes. So what's a wrap up from last year from the Arnold till now, right? So how'd the Arnold go for the people who are listening that don't follow? Yeah,
so the Arnold this year I placed second. There was, I want to say, 12 girls there. So, you know, it's the best girls. You get invited to the Arnold every year. Because I've won the Arnold before, I get an invite for life. So, you know, the cards weren't in my favor that day, and conditioning wasn't there, so I placed second. But all in all, this year has been really good. After the Arnold, I went and did the Boston Pro, which it was the first Boston Pro show, so that was pretty cool to win the fitness title there. And then I've done a lot of traveling this year in my off season. So I met a lot of people, been on the road a lot. Off season has been really good, feeling strong, no injuries, and you've been helping me a lot too. So
how many guest performances did you do?
Oh yeah, guest performances. I did about 4 this year.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know any open bodybuilders. Certainly no other fitness people getting 4.
Yeah, so and how does that work with fitness?
Yeah.
I understand how it works, like you're doing the guest performance, but is that one of those things where you have to try to do it as close to when you're in top shape, or it really doesn't make that much difference?
Yeah, I try to get them booked right after a show because my weight fluctuates. When I'm in that like peak fitness performance, I'm like 130 pounds. And then once I start getting into my off season, like I can get up to 160. So that extra 30 pounds, I mean, that's a lot when you're flipping around and stuff. So I had those 4 guest performances right after Boston, which was nice. So I only put on maybe, 10 to 15 pounds, but even that like little bit of weight, man, I feel it.
Oh yeah.
It's tough for sure.
So when you're in the off season like that, when it comes to we'll just call it fitness practice. What would you call your
fitness practice?
Fitness practice.
Yep.
And does that decrease when your weight's heavier, or how do you go about that? Yeah,
so I still have to like maintain all of like my fitness skills and everything. It's not as much, so I dedicate once a week to my fitness practices. But some feedback I got from the judges was that my strength and like my power moves need to be stronger on stage. So this entire off season, I haven't told anyone this. So you guys are hearing it first on Table Talk. I've been working like handstands and handstand push-ups. So I'm like a freaking beast now, like upside down.
Tried to program it more too. If chest day's Tuesday, then don't do your balance the next day. We tried to incorporate it in the training. It's hard to balance it all, frankly.
Yeah.
But your fitness practice, you have practiced more, specifically those skills.
Definitely. I have a hand balancing coach. His name's Steve Atlas out in Washington, and he just works exclusively with me for like his Fitness Pro. We kind of made an agreement that he wasn't going to help my competition and just strictly work with me. So I really appreciate all of his help. We've been doing FaceTime calls, and I've been practicing, like I said, every day, these handstand push-ups. So daily, I'll do 10 handstand push-ups every day. no ifs, ands, or buts. If I fall out of it, that's fine. I just start over. So we're getting 10 good handstand push-ups every day.
All right. So from the skill acquisition standpoint of the fitness part, right? It sounds like you do what every other sport does. So you get into the off season, you just break it down to the basics.
Yep.
And then you just work the basics while you're heavier. And then as you start to come into a show, you're going to start then putting the routine and all that together.
Yep.
Right. Which is, I think that's a big takeaway with anybody that does any kind of sport, even at your top level. You have to back away and go back to the basic fundamentals and build the shit out of those. Right. And then, because I could see a lot of people in fitness just want to work their routine all year.
Yeah.
Where that would just seem to be detrimental.
Totally. And there are some women that do that. You'll watch their routines and they haven't changed in a decade. They're doing the same skills over and over again. So I do pride myself on taking that off season to go back to the basics, but then doing new skills, trying new things once I get a little bit lighter, once the cardio kicks in, and then I start doing new stuff.
All right. So the off season would have started with the Olympia, right? Or did you competed? No, the Boston was after. No, because there's the Olympia, the Arnold, right?
And then Boston.
Yeah. So your off season really hasn't been that long at this point.
Right.
So when was Boston?
Boston was end of March.
So yeah, April, May, June. Yeah. So you're 3 months. You're mid off season then, right?
Right.
Because you'd have to start preparing for the Olympia in.
I'm starting like now.
Pretty close. Yeah.
I'm about 20 weeks out from the Olympia.
Yeah.
So the Olympia is in December this year at Planet Hollywood. So yeah, this is about the time when calories start getting lower for me, and we start to like dial it in.
Yes. So that is a short, kind of what we were talking about just a second ago. That's we'll get back to that, but that's a short off season.
Yes, for sure.
Very short.
The irony over the last couple of years with COVID pushing
that's crazy. Back,
yeah. Like we have 7 months, and we've actually referenced it as, boy, it's good you had a long off season.
But you didn't, because they kept moving the show, right?
Right. But no, this 7 months is actually like long in comparison, not for strength building purposes, but compared to her last couple of years, where they were just coming quick.
But the 7 months really isn't 7 months, because you got to start preparing for the Olympia, right? So it's really just March, not even March. So it's April, May, June.
Yep.
3-4 months.
July, 3-4 months. Yeah. That's not a lot.
Not a lot. Nope.
Yeah. No. So that's a short off season, which we can come back to that.
Yeah.
So what else has been going on outside of that?
So, what else, babe? What else do we got going on here?
Life or training wise, you have a new announcement.
Oh yes. Today, we've announced I got a new sponsorship with Axe and Sledge. So I'm really excited about that opportunity. And my code is Missy. If anyone's interested in checking out those supplements, I'm really excited to be part of a new team and just, new momentum going into the Olympia. I've been a huge fan of Seth for many years, and I'm really excited that he's, taking me under his wing, and we're going to do some cool shit this year.
Yeah, so that's Seth Forosi, correct?
Yes.
Awesome guy. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I'll mess the name up. It's one of those names I can't pronounce very well. So
yeah.
I hit it right the first time, which is surprising, right? Like, I don't know what the hell's going on with that. Usually I'll just destroy anything.
I'm the worst with people's names too.
Well, your last name was like messed up for a long time. It's like, how do you say that again? It's like I'm repeating it.
Try it.
It's like say it 10 times. 10 times. Say it over and over 10 times. So it works that way. With this off season that you're closing now, right?
Yep.
What were your objectives for this off season?
So the biggest thing with the off season was to, build my hamstrings and my glutes. The judges, that was really their only feedback. They didn't say anything about like my front shots, my shoulders, anything like that. It was mostly just my legs. So basically I took this off season as almost like I need to go back to my roots. Like, what makes me happy? It's training hard, training heavy. So I did that. I basically just made everything a weakness, and I trained everything super hard. super heavy. And all in all, it's been a really, really good off season for me.
So like Rocky, you went back to the barn.
Back to the barn.
Missy's strengths like her X-frame, right? Which I think every bodybuilder wants. Small waist, big shoulders, big leg. I mean, she's got that. I think a couple of years you got distracted, you know, like this minute little body part.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just come out there 3D, popping full X-frame. So I think back to that, and I think it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
You know,
how has your training changed over the past year without John doing your training, right? Because that was more of a higher volume.
Yeah.
Has it stayed that way, or have you pivoted away from that a little bit?
It's still pretty high volume. Obviously, right now in the off season, my rep range, you know, I was trying to go between 6 to 8 reps, like extremely heavy. You know, smaller body parts like shoulders. It's higher volume, little bit lesser weight, just to get that like mega pump. But yeah, it's definitely been a transition, you know, learning everything I have from like John into now kind of doing something a little different. I mean, the mentality and the intensity is still there, like what I've learned from John. But, you know, as we grow in the sport of bodybuilding and as we get older too, you have to adapt and you have to change. So, you know, certain exercises don't feel the same as they did like a year ago, 2 years ago. So I switch them out and I do something else.
What are some examples of what you're talking about? Just exercise wise, and we'll get into the training wise as well.
Sure. So I was doing a lot of like bent over barbell rows. And then I started to develop bicep tendonitis so bad. And then I started thinking like, am I feeling it too much in the biceps? Am I feeling it in my back? So I just scrapped it. And then I've just been focusing on other things like a chest supported row. And it feels a lot better. I can contract better. So just little things like that makes me really aware of like my body. And it could be age too. I don't know.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm getting is, what are some of the exercises as you've gotten older? Well, how old are you? I mean, let's put a
33.
30. Let's put a date on that for people watching. I know it's not polite to ask, but
no,
it has relevance.
Totally. Yeah.
It's relevant within the physique sports,
Yes.
right? Because it makes a difference. It matters, is because there's your age, and then there's training age.
Yes.
Right. So you've been training a very long time too. So
Yes.
with training age, I see that there's a lot of similarities with demographics that of certain movements that just are not worth they lose the bang for the buck.
Big
right
time.
One of them you just mentioned is kind of like the bent over barbell row, right, where, man, I used to do the shit out of those when I was younger.
Yeah.
Terrible too, just like muscle fucking them up, and but with a lot of weight. But I kind of think it made a difference. I kind of think it helps, you know.
Yeah.
But then as you get older, you're like, man, I don't know. You know, this is like just trashing my lower back, fucking my biceps up.
Right. And then you're a mess for like 3 days afterwards. Yeah. Sometimes not worth it.
So it's interesting to me to see what those similarities are, you know, with strength athletes from all genres, you know, as they age, what gets dropped first.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the overhead press is one of them. That's one of them. It gets knocked out.
Yep.
Chin ups are another one that kind of gets knocked out pretty quick. Dips end up getting knocked out. You know, it's deadlifts get knocked out, bent over rows get knocked out. Yeah. And it's like everybody, you know, it's not, you're like, oh, I'm fascinated by it. Like, first off, why, you know? And then sometimes I wonder, is it good or is it bad? Or should we probably have not been doing them in the first place? You know, all these weird questions that go through my mind because I'm fucking meathead.
And if there's the exercise that you love, you start replacing your shoulder so you can still do it.
Well, hips.
Yeah.
Replace hips just to be able to do it so I can still squat.
Because you love
kind of
Saturday
stuff.
squat day.
Exactly. 100%. Where what I'm trying to find is, so the off season, the reps went down, right? So heavier reps. And I'm looking for this phasic structure in your training, which I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not. It kind of looked at first glance when we were messaging back and forth, and, you know, when you were out before, that it really doesn't change a whole lot, you know, throughout the year, which can be problematic, right? But it does. where you have this phase where you're heavier.
Yeah.
And the reps are the 6 to 8. And I'm going to assume when you start dieting, they're going to go up.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
So how high will you take those reps then?
Like 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you see it is phasic.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll get into there because you're not a strength athlete.
Right.
Right. You're your fitness is more than just the hypertrophy and the muscle building, but you're a muscle building athlete.
Yeah.
Where those lower reps really aren't going to have a whole lot of carryover per se, not at your level, like the 1 to 3s and stuff like that.
Right, right.
Where that 5 to 6 definitely does, but you can also build a tremendous amount of muscle in that 8, 10, all the way up to 30 reps sometimes.
Yep.
Where the kind of the bodybuilder mentality is the closer the show comes, the lower the weight, the more the reps,
Yep.
which I think they do that for reasons that aren't true. Like they think they're get cut by doing more reps.
Right.
But it's just a misnomer. But what you're actually doing is you're changing that structure, right? So you're going from that rep range of the 6 to 8 to here, which is enough change to kind of keep your body in that growth mentality.
Yeah.
To be able to go with that. And then when the show comes, you're going to pull back, the week before, I assume,
Yeah.
on the training.
Yeah.
And then there's the show. Then like a week after, you're just like pigging out, or you got another show.
Right.
Trying to come in at that thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess because you had the Arnold and the Boston, and how far apart were they?
1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that ends up being, you take a week before that, you take those 2-3 weeks, then the week after you end up with a month, of this own competitive phase.
Yeah.
Where you're just trying to maintain
Yep.
the best shape that you can
Yeah.
in that time frame, and then into the off season. But the interesting question would become, at what point, because you've been a pro for how long?
Since 2012.
2012.
Yep.
At what point is it worth skipping the Arnold, to have a fuller off season?
Yeah.
To have more time to bring up the weaknesses.
Right. It's it's tough mentally.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough mentally for me because I've been at the top now for almost 3 years, and to sit out of one of the bigger shows, especially now, like people are attending the Olympia and the Arnolds, like COVID was hard on everyone, but now people are showing up, butts are getting in seats, a lot of eyes on me. So, it's definitely something I have to think about. I do have a lifetime invite to the Arnold and Olympia. So it's going to be something that you and I are going to have to talk about, right?
Yeah. Let's just play pretend,
Yeah.
right?
I love it.
If you had to skip one or the other,
Yeah.
right, to have a longer off season, which one do you think it would be?
So just where the dates are right now.
Yeah. Not based upon the show, based upon the dates.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm feeling good right now, right? Coming out of this off season into a prep. So I would do the Olympia and then sit out the Arnold because it's only like 2 months. 2 months?
Yeah.
Ish? Yeah.
The dates are tough because now that the Olympia used to be in September, now it's December.
Yeah. Oh, it's December.
Yeah.
December, yeah.
And they kept it. So now this is second or third year. It's in December. Well, now the Arnold moved back to March. So, you have you can't really bulk. You can't really, you're almost kind of holding pattern for a bit.
Yeah.
And then re-diet.
That's really hard to hold that conditioning for 3 months or 2 months, whatever it is, because, I'm doing like 2 hours of cardio a day. That's not including just like going outside and walking with the dogs or, walking around the grocery store. All of that stuff really like takes a toll on you when you're that lean and you're eating like 1,000 calories. Like it's hard.
How much does size play a role in fitness? We talked earlier, like because there's 3 rounds. Is it two? Three? Two rounds. How are they? I get it. Like they're probably not judged evenly, and you got to get through the one just to get to the other.
Yeah.
Right. Which one is weighed more, do you think?
Do you want to take this?
No.
Well, you're
technically though, so it's fine. I just don't know how.
But you might know better than her because you're watching it.
Well, yeah. So as a fan, I don't even know the percentages. I think it's like 30-70, something like that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So the physique round is 30%. the fitness round is 70. As a fan,
Yeah.
you go back, look at the scorecards. Whoever wins that physique round is highly favored coming into the fitness round. And the fitness round, this isn't like, there is no scale. There's not like a degree of difficulty, right?
Well,
These
if
are
they fall,
bodybuilding judges.
yeah.
They're
But if they fall on their
people.
face, I mean, if you fuck that up bad, it's probably not a good thing.
I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The winner of that physique round, there's a high correlation to winning the whole
Really?
event. I mean, a high correlation. It's not, I'm sure it's not 100%.
Okay. Now, how out of that, how much does size matter now? Because if you look as a spectator looking through, especially the women's physique sports, right? They've changed over the years. It's almost like figure, has become what physique used to be.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
And physique became what bodybuilding used to be. And bikini is almost what figure used to be.
100%.
So that begs the question. Because fitness is like the odd sport out.
Yeah.
How
Right?
can we judge this?
Exactly. I mean, because you're throwing in, an athletic round, a routine round, which is not just opposing routine.
Yeah.
You know.
So I think it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, right?
Yeah.
So I think with the fitness division, and I'd like to say a part of it was because of me,
Oh,
like
for sure.
the conditioning and the size that I brought, and I did that because I love training. I love training like a bodybuilder. Like you put me through the ringer today with legs. Like I love it. This is what I live for. So I think they don't really care so much about the size. They want more like streamlined. So they want like the X frame, the big quads, the big shoulders. It's very comparable to figure. Like the girls who place well in fitness have that figure shape and conditioning. Do they want striated quads, feathers in your quads? It just depends on the judge that day, what they're looking for.
The top 4 or 5 fitness girls have gone another stratosphere.
All right.
The sport evolves. The sport evolves, and they all get better and harder and bigger and everything else in every sport. But just the last couple of years, those top 4 or 5 fitness girls, it's almost like there's 2 divisions.
Yes.
There's fitness, and then there's these top 5 fitness, and they're all insane.
All right. So let's just say out of the top 5 that you're talking about, conditioning's the same, which never happens. But let's just say conditioning's the same across the board. Biggest wins?
I wish shape won, because then you'd be killing everybody. But that's figure. But that does not appear to be. No,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like the Arnold this year, conditioning won. Shape didn't win. If you look at the figure division, shape wins over conditioning. It's very confusing. I mean,
so is every
every division. It's
bodybuilding sport.
Yeah, it's super subjective. I would never want to be a judge because they have a hard job. Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to get at is, as we're playing pretend, and like if you were to skip, to be able to have a longer off season.
Yeah.
That would obviously be able to create more time to be in a calorie surplus, to be able to put on more muscle.
Yeah.
Is that more muscle going to have a positive impact at the end of the day? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. Honestly, I do. Because when you walk out on stage and you're that like freak big muscle, like your eyes just go to you and you're like, oh, she won. Or like, oh, he won. Like that's the look I always want to have. So if I can do that, if I can have a longer off season to do that, I think it would be in my favor too.
Even coming up, you were and when you were getting, 6th, 7th place, 4 or 5 years ago, you get 6th, 7th place. You're one of the bigger, you had the best shape, right? Small waist, big shoulders. So if you add 3 to 4 pounds to that, it's not like 15, 20 pounds. That'd be detrimental.
Yeah.
Then you lose your athleticism and everything else.
3 to 4 pounds in lean body mass in a year is very fucking hard. Yeah. And it's not going to happen in 3 months.
No.
Right.
You know that, which is oddly enough, I think you just answered your own question. But
if she took a long off season, off season.
Yeah, which she basically just said she needs to do if she wants to be able to get better and win. Thus answered her own question.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's with a lot of these things you can get clouded because I can't imagine what it's like to be in your position, for one thing, right? Because you're top of the sport. There's a lot of responsibility, that comes with that. Not just your own personal responsibility, but a fan base and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And you feel obligated, that I should go, right? Because, one is basically on the West Coast and the other one's kind of on the East Coast-ish, right?
Yep.
It's different fans, right? Now there's going to be a lot that are going to travel, but for the most part, probably half of the fans that are going to be there in the Olympia are going to be different than half the fans that are going to be the Arnold.
Yeah.
Right. So you feel that responsibility, for them.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a pull, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That can perhaps cloud the bigger vision,
Yes.
Of the mark you would like to leave in the sport, or at least not really leaving the sport, because I don't think any of us, 50 years from now, nobody's going to know who the fuck any of us are, right? I mean, it's just kind of how it all works. But it's in your mind, being able to leave the sport thinking, did I actually ever bring the best that I could?
Right.
Right? Where that can get clouded sometimes because the fans, or you've always done it. That's the other thing. Well, this is what I always do, because you become a robot. Mm-hmm. Right?
Totally.
I mean, it's meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, Sunday day picks. It's just, what's the movie where it repeat? Groundhog Day?
Yep.
Oh,
yeah. It's like Groundhog Day. Is where every now and again, I think stepping back and be able to look, through it all, and say what's the best, for whatever your overall objective is. Yeah. Which I don't know. I think I know.
Yeah. Matt and I have had this conversation like many times. So, we're definitely thinking about it.
The conditioning got better.
Yes.
The size got better. We started to do like routine almost became year round.
Yeah.
Like the Boston Pro is over. Missy's already started thinking about what's going to be my performance. It's not like 6 weeks out. Mm-hmm. I need to start choreographing my music and think about a theme. It's like literally the Boston Pro's over. We're on the flight back. Hey, this would be kind of cool, right? We start talking about it because it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, like that cage she jumped off of and all this the wings for John, it's been some like intense stuff. This has become longer and longer. So my point is you've improved. They say, I'm not trying to take credit.
Well, it is.
We've
I mean,
improved
it's
the process. Yeah, we've improved the process a lot. The variable that I think is missing, because your contests have been so tight, you haven't really been able to get as hard conditioning wise.
Yeah.
Well, that might be, and that might need a longer off season. We're about to find out, because I think you're primed to see this Olympia.
Yeah.
You can get as shredded as you can get, but you might just need more time. We'll see.
Yep.
When it comes to creating, as you're on the plane, you're trying to figure out what this next routine is going to be, because obviously you can't keep doing the cage thing, right? That was
on to the next.
Yeah, you got to come up with something else. When does that process start? Was it on that flight back?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
They actually created a rule. They should call it the Missy rule. You can't do props. You have to get them approved. I think our competitors were mad because of the cage she jumped off of. Yeah. So now they can't do that anymore. So now it's more just costume, skills, music, but there's no more props.
Wow.
Interestingly, it's the Missy rule.
The Missy rule, right?
That
so your size and hardness created that, So
as Missy's husband, I'm happy they got rid of the prop rule, because that was a bitch.
Getting
that cage
tough.
across country was nuts.
Yeah.
That was truly like a part-time job.
Yeah.
For like a month. Yeah,
For
that
real.
was crazy. And the fucking thing was duct taped together.
Yes.
When she did, that.
Yes.
It was crazy. Yeah, crazy times.
So you go from winning both, right?
Yeah.
To second.
Yeah.
I mean, no bullshit. What's going through your head at that time?
Yeah. I had a lot of when you're at the top and then you get knocked down, whatever, to second place, it sucks. It fucking sucks. We're all there to compete. We all want to win, right? Why else would we be there if we didn't want to win? I did get a lot of like negativity on social media for, I guess, my competitiveness, but I've grown up like this. I'm an athlete. I'm competitive. I was a provincial level gymnast my entire life. When I took second on bars or second on vault, would I be like upset? Yeah. I'm not upset at the person who won. I'm upset at myself. Because, you know, like if you put everything into it and you've done everything you could and you place second, fine. Kudos to the winner. You know, I feel like there's more in me to give. It wasn't my best. Agreed?
Yeah.
Wasn't my best. And I'm coming back with vengeance. Like I'm ready to put the work in this off season. Like I put the work in there. I've been counting down the weeks for this Olympia for like 40 weeks out now. So I'm not playing this year.
Yeah, I mean, so how long do you allow yourself to be pissed about it?
What's today's date?
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that day sucks, right?
Oh my gosh.
Then the day after is going to suck, but at some point in time, you're going to have to mentally wrap your head around it.
Totally. Yeah.
You know, and again, it's not, you know, towards the person that won.
Yeah.
You know, it's towards yourself, but that's rough too.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to kick yourself in the ass, you know, to be and everybody's telling you, you know, that makes it worse in a way.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. Like, shut the fuck up, you know?
Right.
At what point were you able to like flick that around and say, okay, look, I can't do shit about this.
Yeah.
We got to just move forward.
Yeah.
Because other people do the same. What I'm trying to get at is there's other people that get in the same position, right? And most people are not transparent about this.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh no, just, you know, you just forget about it and go about it the next day, which is probably bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. So now the person who's on the other end listening to this is like, well, no, how come I can't? Like, how come this bothers me
Yeah.
for like a month?
Yeah.
Where, you see what I'm saying? Where, you know, to those people that are in that position that are highly competitive,
Yeah.
you know, because some people, there is a difference between people who love to win and people that can't stand to lose.
Yeah.
They're two different mindsets.
Yes.
Right. And I think that mindset that they can't stand to lose, you know, is a mindset that might take them a little bit longer,
Yeah.
you know, to get over that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm over it because I love bodybuilding and I love training. It was almost like I had to like fall in love with it again. Sure, I had
Yes.
like some really down weeks and mentally I was like, I'm fucking pissed. But I had to get over it for myself so I could be like clear-headed when I went into this off season. Are there days when I get pissed off about it? Yeah. But I don't let it negatively like impact me anymore like it did. Hearing my name second.
Yeah. Well, let's peel back that I had to fall in love with it again, right?
Yeah.
Because show's over, and I've been in the same spot, right? So show's over, not at that level, and you're like, part of you, right, is like, why am I doing this shit? Right?
Yeah.
And this is a natural response. It's not like, you know, but people won't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, you're supposed to train, so you do. But you kind of don't want to because you still feel like shit with what happened.
Yeah.
And then you have to somehow, and some people never do, right? That's kind of where I think it's worth talking about because they just end up retiring, you know, where maybe they might have had one more run, maybe not, you know, I mean, everybody ages at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know, you're not there at that point. I mean, it's older than what you are, but everybody gets to that point where, you know, that it's a fucked up voice. Right? Because you want it to turn back around, but if they're old enough, you really don't want it to turn back around because it could probably be time, you know, just to step out.
Yeah.
Where with that going back and forth, you still go through the motions because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's a big point that a lot of people miss, you know, is you still have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like work or anything else. Even if you don't want to do it,
Yeah.
you still got to do it.
Totally.
But at some point in time, you realize, because you just kind of said it, that I have to find my way back. What are some of the things that you did to help do that after realizing it was there?
Yeah. So I actually started with working with like a mindset coach.
Yes.
He's out of Canada. His name's Alvin Brown. So he does a lot of like virtual like type lessons with me. And it's really just to like tap into what I want to achieve and like why I'm doing like bodybuilding. but he's helped a lot, like to get me focused and yeah, I
think and I don't know if I'm going the same direction, so you could tell me to shut up. I think the hard part mentally coming out of a show,
yeah,
and I'm sure this happens to every competitor. We're living in this little tiny bubble. This is not the real world, but in this little bubble with social media and everything else, it becomes a big part of our life for like at least a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And everybody is Missy should have won, Missy should have won. All the other competitors are probably hearing that when you won. But I'm just saying, all we're hearing about, oh my God, the judges and everything else. Missy gets a lot of, wow, you should have won as the defending champ, should have won. I think that you kind of start going down that rabbit hole, like there you can become a victim quick.
yeah,
and that has to be like in a matter of days where forget what the judges, and I got to do what I got to do.
yeah,
And incredibly resilient. I mean, you are super quick at that. Whether it's okay, my mind's a little messed up, I got to get a mindset coach. Or,
yeah,
okay, I got to get bigger. This is what I got to do, So I think that you get out of that trap. I think that trap is incredibly dangerous in today's day and age, where everyone's telling you should have won, and then, you take it on yourself, and look, you got to get better.
yeah.
Well, I mean, as a female in a physique sport, right? Your social media is your friend, and and not.
Yes.
There's pros and cons, right? I'm sure you've seen both sides of that for a long time now.
Yeah, definitely.
Where it's still going to wear on you. Where having a mindset coach can help with that, or just discussing it with Matt can help with that.
Yeah.
Because it's still going to wear on you. You can say, I'm not going to look at it, but you'll look at it.
Yeah.
And it will impact. Right?
So for this year, for this like Olympia prep, once I get like, there's a certain part in the prep, like, I don't know, 8 weeks, 6 weeks out, where, you're starting to look really good now and you're getting all this like attention on Instagram and whatever. But LeBron James does this thing, he calls it 0 Dark 30, where he totally gets off all social media when he's going into the NBA playoffs. And that's something that I haven't done before.
I'm not sure he does it anymore, by the way.
Oh.
I think he loves attention so much. I don't think he can stay away from Twitter. But anyway, go ahead, go back. But he used to do this.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of doing that, like 6 weeks out, just totally staying off social media. I'll still like do my YouTube, post my weekly videos and stuff on YouTube. But yeah, just totally stay off like the comments and what other competitors look like. Not that I look at the competitors anyways, because honestly, what they bring and what I bring is totally different.
Yeah.
Half of the fitness girls like don't even follow me, so it's
it's
all
well,
good.
Yeah, I
there.
mean, you can't control what they're doing anyhow.
No.
Nor they control what you're doing.
Right.
With the fitness athletes or just female physique athletes, when they come online, right? And I'm trying to think of I want to say when they start coming online, and because they're already always there, right? So they're going to get to a certain point where the comments are going to increase.
Yeah.
Or the weirdos become expedited, right? So if you're mentoring somebody that's coming up through these sports, and they basically just say they're a genetic freak, they just get into training, then like a year later, boom, they're like nationally qualified.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell? Like, how do I handle these weirdos? What is the advice that you tell them?
So for me, like, I would say just like don't engage, because unless they're like commenting under photos and stuff, you got to block those people, whether it's like negative or if they're like writing like sexual weird stuff. I get a lot of those. My favorite thing to do is block them.
Well, most do.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just get them off your page. Like, just don't entertain it. Just get it off.
And the vast majority is overwhelmingly positive. I mean, you get, I mean, it's 99% to 1.
But that can be a problem too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because then that becomes, you can start believing that.
Yeah.
But still not be in the shape that you should be in.
Totally.
So there's that side too. Or they get a lot of engagement, because of one photo or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
And then as you're saying, like go dark, they won't go dark because as they're starting to get leaner and leaner, they're going to start to get more and more attention.
Yeah.
So then they become more and more Instagram oriented.
Yeah.
And less training for what they're training for. Right?
I got you.
Yes. So how often do you see that happening?
This is going to sound bad, Dave, but I don't really like pay attention unless someone like comes to me and asks like, how do I, whatever, give me advice on this. I really don't use like Instagram like that as much, like where I'm kind of keeping track of people. And,
Yeah. Well, that's answering the question without answering it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where I was going with
Because
that.
like, I just feel like, especially now, like Instagram is kind of, it's pretty fake, you know, like what you can post and are people being authentic? Like there's certain things, yeah, that, you know, the caption and the photos, they're real, but a lot of it.
Are they though?
That's true. Yeah, true. But I really feel with like the social media influencers and everything, like there's this one guy on Instagram, Goob, I think his name is. He calls out all of these girls for photoshopping. And it's sad because like I have girl clients who send me a picture of this girl being like, I want to look like her. And it's like, no, sweetheart, she photoshopped that. Like that's not realistic. That's not real. So that's like a hard thing about social media too.
But you're mentoring a lot of these people.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So with that, you know, outside of just saying, look, that's not real.
Yeah.
You know, how do you help them navigate this space? Because it's a different space than it was just a decade ago.
Right. Yeah. It really, it goes back to training. Like a lot of the girls will send me pictures of these wellness girls with the huge glutes. Some of the glutes are real. Yes. But some of them are enhanced and it's like, you got to squat, you got to do lunges. Like you got to go back to the basics kind of thing to get those big glutes or have surgery. I don't know.
Because you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's ups and downs.
Yeah.
Okay. With the tricky part with the downs when you're in a sport is the cortisol's up, you know, while you're pissed. Right. And then that's affecting training, it's affecting recovery and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When, again, if it's somebody that you're mentoring and they're going through that down period, you know, what advice do you tell them? Outside of, look, this won't last and it'll go away and it's going to get better and all that. But not off season wise. I mean, prep is a whole nother animal. Yeah. Right. Because hormones are kind of all over the place. You're in a calorie deficit. I mean, it's you with any physique sport, there's like I call it a fugly phase, right? Where you look a certain way when you're full. Like right now you're full. Yes. You know, it's like this, and it's an awesome look. Then you got this weird fucking phase, right? Yeah. Which is what, maybe 4 weeks, 3 weeks. You're like, oh, what the fuck? Like some stuff's getting lean, some's not. And it can be a mind fuck. Yeah. Right. And then you kind of come out that other end. Yeah. So again, with that mentoring of, you know, the women you're working with, how's that process? Or how do you, when she's going through that, because I'm sure, I mean, she's a human like anybody else. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this? Yeah. You know, how do you guys work through that crap?
Yeah, I think, I mean, just my general philosophy, like in life, you know, there's the extremes, right? Where we think everyone's angry. We think everyone's pissed off. Well, they're not. You know, that's the extremes you hear about on Twitter, but 80% of the population is going about their business. Similar thing to me with social media. You know, there are, you know, every post, there's going to be the 1 or 2 people that come after her with the same stuff. They know it's a low blow and it's going to hit hard, but you know, 99% positive comments. And, you know, and none of those people at the end of the day are like the opinion she should be listening to anyway. Right. And it's her coach. It's like her inner circle are the only real opinions that matter. I think a bigger thing, I know we can ask when she gets back, but there's the, you know, one, the social media has brought on, you know, like that negativity. There's also people who have these insane goals, like, hey, here's a picture of XYZ athlete, like literally the best athlete, athlete in the world. I want to look like this. That's tough. Because, you know, one, genetics, you're probably never going to get there. But then there's also another 20 things probably going to make it difficult for you to become that person. So anyway, I think that's
when she,
social media is dangerous.
Yeah. When she gets the fuckheads, right? She's like, look at this. And she's like pissed.
Yeah.
You know, you got to reel her back in.
Yep.
Right. Yep. How fast does that come back?
Oh, minutes, seconds.
Yeah.
Incredibly fast. Now, got a thick skin at this point.
Yes.
Very thick.
Okay. But that was in a weird way earned.
Yep.
You know, because of all the bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about the weirdo stuff where it hits you. You're like, look at this bullshit.
Yeah.
And then at this point, it's like, look, then you realize, oh, okay, this is just, get over it.
Yeah.
Right. But it took a while to get there.
Totally.
The worst of the worst is you kind of like, wow, humanity's in a bad place.
Yeah.
You know, someone took the 2 minutes to write something that nasty about someone they don't even know. You know, that's tough, but those are rare.
The one thing that's like really gets me is when people ask about like kids, like, why don't you and Matt have kids? They'll like write on mostly, well, not so much on Instagram, but like on YouTube, you'll get the random like person with no followers, whatever, or subscribers. And they'll be like, why don't you have kids? Or like, why do you look like a man? And man, those ones really piss me off.
Well, that's a big one, like the why you look like a man, or, you know, what gender, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Right. And that's going to come pretty much to any woman that lifts weights at all.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact that it still kind of pisses you off is good for people to hear.
Yeah.
Right. Because are they thinking at some point they're just going to become so callous to it that it's not going to?
Right. Yeah.
You know, where I think if you can just realize, no, it's always going to piss you off a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little easier to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, would you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
And I mean, now when I see them, I just kind of like laugh and I'll show Matt. But like, honestly, my favorite thing is to block them.
Yeah.
I love just hitting that 3 and block. See ya.
Next.
Yeah.
With the motivation part, right? Because it is, your life is Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Okay, over, and it's been that way for it's been. I don't even know if you can answer the question. It's been so long,
Yeah.
right? Because when it's ingrained as a habit, just over and over and over and over, I don't think you really see any other way out. You know, it is kind of what it is.
Yeah.
But I am sure you still have. You're not going into every training session motivated to do the training session. You're not going into every day thinking, hey, this is a great day. I'm going to eat chicken and rice all fucking day.
Right.
You know, and this kind of stuff. So on those, I know the answer that you're going to say, but on those days that are just the grind days that you just need to just get through.
Yeah.
Right. What helps you to get through those?
Matt. He really does. The fact that I'm like, that I have this life and that I'm able to do what I love every single day, like go to the gym, bodybuild. I have my online coaching business, amazing supplement sponsor. I don't cook really any of my meals. I have the chicken pound that sends me 20 pounds of chicken every month. Like I could be back at the hospital working like a 9 to 5, drawing people's blood Monday to Friday, or I could stop being a little pussy and go to the gym. You know, there's days when I do think of that. Like, would you rather be working at the hospital right now, or do you want to shut up and go to the gym? So I'm thankful for those days. So it gives me like a reality check. Like, no, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
It would take a dark turn. I don't know if we want to go this direction on the podcast, but we've taken some life L's over the last 12 to 16 months. Like people very close to us have passed away. It has been a challenge. And just like through that, I do think we talk about this all the time. You know, we go on vacation, we're super excited to get home.
Yeah.
Like our best day is like when we get back, like how great our house is, our home gym, our dogs, our routine. We love our routine. So yeah, there's been some dark days. There's been some big life L's. We've lost some of like literally the core people, our inner circle people, like right, have passed away recently, plus COVID and all the other bullshit the world's dealing with. So it's, you know, you can, I guess, let that suck you down
Mm-hmm.
and not get out of bed. But we have very much been on the approach of, man, we have it good and we better enjoy it like now. Like we need to enjoy it
like
more.
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we talk about this stuff a lot.
So you reframe it with gratitude,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
right? So I mean, that's
Forced even at times, you know. I
Yes.
mean, life is not easy. Life's not supposed to be easy.
No.
And so it is sometimes like, you know, you're heading to a dark place and
Mhm.
you better appreciate what you have.
yeah.
You know, 2-time Arnold champ, you know, Missy, you got it good.
Mhm.
You know, so anyway.
Well, I think that's important. I think there's an important point because you can fall in these dark rabbit holes,
Yeah.
especially when you're in it to begin with.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're looking for other things to just validate how shitty it all is.
Right.
Because then you're like, well, this is shitty. Well, then so is this.
I think the world wants us to go that direction.
Well,
at
I
times,
believe
too.
so.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have the foresight, you know, or a partner to be able to say, look, let's just stop for a minute
Yeah.
and let's just think about what we have,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, that we can be grateful for. At least it stops the dive.
Yeah. For sure.
You know, and sometimes it can kind of help you pull back out, you know, the hole, but at least you're not going to go deeper.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important aspect
Yeah.
of that. And a routine, I believe, can help with that,
Big time.
right? Because you got this, it's like, God, everything's fucked up,
Yeah.
but I can control my next meal and this and this and this, you know, because it's so structured, even though it's a routine
Yep.
and it's the same crap. Not everybody, I think at a certain point, this is kind of a misconception I think a lot of people have, is not everybody loves going to the gym every single time they have a training session. You know, I've told stories about, you know, I used to know every exit road on the way to Westside Barbell when I was still competing, every one of them. Like I can go here, I can go here, I can go here. And I never took one.
Yeah.
Right? Because something just gets you there. It's a routine, a habit, or whatever it is. You just get there. Sometimes it sucked the whole time you were there, but you still got there. That I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
You know, just keep freaking going.
Yep.
But the taking the exit road's not the best choice.
No, almost never.
No, it isn't,
Yeah.
right? Because then, and the way my mind was worked, I do it once, then I know I'm going to do it again. Then again. And then the next thing you know, you're never getting where you want to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're just on a detour,
Yeah.
you know, which is what those things that you're talking about can become, those little exit roads.
People talk about like the sacrifice of bodybuilding, you know, and oh, you're giving up so much. We truly like the routine. I'm not a bodybuilder at all.
Yeah.
I use it more to supplement my life. I mean,
Yes.
you mentioned like the control and
Yeah.
stuff. I think it makes me better at the stuff like that I do for a living. But, you know, I don't view it as like a sacrifice.
Yeah.
You know,
But you're going to be, actually, you're most people who are listening into this, right? So
Correct.
you got a
Yeah.
full-time executive position.
Yeah.
Working, all fucking day, right?
Yeah. I love it.
So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
work from the time you get up to the time you go to bed.
Yeah, I love it.
And how does training, because you said it complements,
Yeah.
right? So with that, you know, is it that routine of that, or just because it gets you away, it frees your mind away from all the financial shit?
Yeah. I'm very routine oriented, even with the financial shit, right?
Yeah.
I'm all about having a process, and that is what bodybuilding is. So I mean, that's the fun part to me. There probably is some, you know, lack of control with the profession. I can't control what the S&P 500 is going to do today. Well, I can control what I do in the gym. I can control what I eat. There probably is some I've never thought about it that way. I like more the discipline of it, the routine of it, you know, just how I operate best. It has absolutely helped my career. Absolutely. It gives me that hour and a half away where I don't check my phone. You know, that has helped tremendously. And, you know, just like a mental escape. So, yeah, it has absolutely helped.
If there, so other people that are in the same profession that you are,
Yep.
right? They don't train,
Nope.
right? So if
I'm definitely the freak in the
that's what I'm
office.
saying.
Yeah,
Most
yeah.
don't, right?
I'm the smallest guy at the compound. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
the biggest guy in my office, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So if they did,
Yeah.
you feel they would be better in their
Infinitely
profession.
better. Yes. I think almost everyone would be better. Yeah. Like, absolutely. It's not a detriment at all. No, yeah, absolutely. Just feeling better and, getting out of bed and, excited to go. And so, yeah, I do think it would help them tremendously. Joe Average. And I think the passionate fitness person, not the professional athlete, but they have found it. Like they know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It enhances my life. It's not a sacrifice. There's the bodybuilder, we've all heard the stories, like the bodybuilder who's like living in his car.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that guy's fucked up. Like you've gone too far.
Yeah.
There are times like my days are busy. I cannot train. Okay, it's not my priority. It's not putting food on the table. Of course, you got to have balance too to be a successful person. So I'm not talking about the bodybuilder who's got all in living in his car. But I do think when you balance it appropriately, I absolutely think it's it's been a huge help for me. I can assuredly say that.
What about nutrition?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's part of the game, right? That's a big part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously it helps you, right?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of physique athletes that have partners that aren't part,
Right.
or don't understand.
Yeah.
And then that becomes weird, right? And drama oriented.
Totally. Yeah. Like Matt makes it super easy. Like he's so like scheduled oriented that like I'm not the wife that's like at home like cooking dinner, cooking breakfast, whatever. It's like he cooks his meal 1, he cooks his meal 2, like he does what he needs to do and I do what I need to do. And if there's a time when we can have like meal 5 or dinner together at the table, we'll do it. We're not eating the same thing, but
meal 5. Yeah, we don't call it dinner. Is it meal
meal 5.
Yeah, meal 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meal 5's 2 meals away from the end of the day.
Right. Yes.
Something like that.
Yep.
If
You mentioned though, like if you have someone, a partner who's like not into the sport or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you do need, and we hear about this, like you've had clients who have had like, hey, my spouse doesn't support what I do.
Yeah.
Well, first, every financial advisor starting out, you're working 16, 18 hours a day, right? You're probably not the best spouse.
Yes.
Every business owner has gone through phases, every entrepreneur, every real estate agent, now, I mean, like, the lower level, I don't want to name a profession to insult someone, but okay, you check off, you go home. Okay, that's a different level. I'm talking about like the high level grinders. They have had to put their career first at times.
Yeah.
And your spouse should support you. I don't know. I don't think that that is like a huge sacrifice. You're Miss Olympia, like, right? I mean, life's pretty freaking good.
Well, I think
I'm
where
not
the weird
complaining.
part with that is, most people can understand when it's their profession that you're talking about.
Yep.
But when it's a physique sport or even a strength sport, powerlifting, strongman, whatever it's going to be, yes, it is in their brain, their profession, but there's no income. Right. Which that creates that problem with a partner or whatever it is like, well, wait a minute here. You're treating this like, and this is kind of one of the complaints I've always had with strength sports and all this other stuff is, I've been fortunate with my spouse, throughout the years with this, but I've seen it with other people is, the complaints, of, man, you're in the gym all the time, you're doing this all the time. It's just, it's over and over and over and over. And what I always kind of wondered was, now if they were pushing to be in the NFL, or if they were in the NFL, would the complaints be the same? Because the only, the only variable
more
that
upside,
changes there.
More upside,
Yeah, the only variable that changes is money.
Yeah.
Right? Everything else is exactly the same. You have an athlete that's committed to be the best they can possibly be in the discipline in the sport that they're training for.
Yeah.
One happens to pay very well, if you make it. The other one happens to pay pretty shitty if you do make it. But it's still, you see, in that athlete's mindset, I think it's the same. The one trying to push for the NBA, NFL, whatever it is, compared to the one that's in the physique sport or the strength sport. Their mindsets are still, I'm doing this with everything I have from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, and I'm going to be the best I can possibly be in it.
Yeah.
And that creates that weird dilemma. And a lot of the times there is revenue that can be gained, from the strength and the physique sport side. Yeah. Now it's not going to be NFL revenue, but a lot of times it's still over friggin' minimum wage. It's over what a lot of these people would normally get anyhow.
For sure.
You know, which at a certain point, this is where you see a lot of people will quit their jobs to be able to do that, as you were fortunate to be able to do, you know, as well. So I think that's where a lot of that divide comes in, or lack of understanding per se.
Yep.
And being the athlete that's on that other side, it pisses you off because to them, it's like, you don't get what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And to the other people, it's like, well, it doesn't make any money.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking about more about the person who, you know, they're powerlifting.
Yeah.
They want to hit that 600 deadlift. Like, I'm not talking about the elite of the elite.
No, I get it.
They want to hit that 600, you know, they're working out 5-6 days a week. I mean, you got to really be the average guy to hit the 600 pound deadlift. You got to be in it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's going to take some time outside of elite FTS. That's a real goal.
No, it's going to take some time.
It's a hard goal. That is 99% positive. You know, the food they have to eat, the time at the gym. Okay, and now you're taking it to another level, though.
Level.
Where now their career is being negatively impacted, and I don't really have an answer.
No, I get what you're saying though.
Yeah.
So
I
it
think
can
you have to
complement
balance
that.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Where that's a weird thing though, because now we'll flip it back to the person on the other side that say you have to balance it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't, while you are 100% all in with what you're doing, you still have to balance that out with real life.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess for me, like, because I have such a supportive husband and he, like, my dreams, my goals, like, he wants the same for me. So for me, I just, like, go all in. Like, whatever I can do, however I can be more productive in my days with, like, scheduling, I try to do. I do have clients, you know, that their spouse isn't as supportive, and that's tough, man. That's really tough on the girls. My advice to them is, like, let them know it's not for much longer, you know, a couple more weeks, hold in until the show's done. And then, you know, then you can go back to a regular life. But then you got to start thinking, like, so you go back to a regular life. What happens if you want to start prepping again? Like, is your husband going to be pissed that you can't eat the food or whatever? You can't go on date night and stuff. I don't know. It's definitely a balance thing at that level. It's hard for me because I feel like I don't really have balance, but
yeah, but you choose this fantastic way of getting after it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a small window. I mean, it's only going to be a few years. This isn't going to be for 30 years, right? You're not going to be prepping and doing this stuff forever.
At 40 years old, hell no.
Yeah. So it's a short window, which we've talked about, and you got to go hard when you can go hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been competing now? Just let's say at the pro level.
Since 2012.
2012.
Yeah.
If you could go back, you know, and tell yourself what you know now in 2012, that would help.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself?
To take time off and to grow. I think. Oh shoot!
Oh my God! Okay, there's twice you validated the answer to the question, but anyhow, proceed.
Guess, you and Dave figured that out. That question has been answered.
Yeah. So, like, I started lifting in, like, 2009, fresh out of high school. I went pro in 2012, and then I've been competing ever since. 2015 to 17, 2 years, I took off. I was just kind of in a different place in my life, and I was still training, but I wasn't training like an off season. I was just training, going to the gym. So obviously I didn't put on that much muscle and stuff. But yeah, I would tell my younger self to lay off on the shows and just really focus on the off season, because man.
You're really trying to get.
She's trying to crawl out of this hole real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, outside of that, what else would you say?
I would say I never picked like a top tier coach when I was younger, just because I don't know, it was expensive, right? To have like a Hani Rambod, a John Meadows at that age. It wasn't until like I was more financially set, and you and I had a conversation, Matt and I had a conversation about it a couple years ago, and we were like, hey, John is the guy. Like, we've got to get John on our team. But I think I would have tried to find a more knowledgeable coach when I was younger, knowing that I would have been Miss Fitness Olympia and 2-time Arnold Classic champ. I could have maybe sped that process up a little bit, because it was always my like physique that held me back. It wasn't my routines. It was my body.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had that, more knowledgeable coach, I think I could have, capitalized on those wins sooner.
And what else? I mean, you can't tell me that you've not gained a ton of knowledge in a decade, of doing this as a pro.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And you came in pretty green.
Yes. Yep.
So.
I would say I had a coach that didn't let me. She told me not to train legs. So for 3 years, at least 3 years, I never trained legs because my legs were big. So I never trained them, which was kind of that definitely hurt my physique. So I wish I would have trained legs. I'm trying to think what
nutritionally, diet-wise.
Oh man, that's just like a whole nother beast of in itself.
Yes.
I've been online coaching now for 2 years, but obviously I've had clients help friends like as I've come up.
Yeah.
But now, knowing what I know about foods and how to manipulate the body, whether we're doing an off season or contest prep with clients, just that knowledge alone, I'm super, super grateful for that. I've learned from John, his dieting techniques, my new coach, Shelby Starnes. So, and like YouTube and Google is like totally free. So you could learn everything off of there.
Good
as
and
well.
bad, but there's a lot of information.
True.
I mean, what were some of the things that you were doing in 2012 that you absolutely would not do now, nutritionally?
Oh man.
You might be trying to think too broad, which makes it really hard to answer, but just like...
Yeah. So maybe, okay. So like, as you get older, you kind of, you know what your body will tolerate food wise. So back in the day, and it could be with age, back in the day, I could eat oats, no problem. It was just a carb source that sat well on my body. But as I got older, it's like, man, this is not digesting well. Like my stomach would grow and just little things like that, that I've kind of like learned along the way. And obviously like water manipulation, going into shows, that type of stuff. In the sport of bodybuilding, there is PEDs, which I've learned about as well. So that's a huge asset when it comes to prepping clients.
Did you have to, a question hit my mind and it just left my mind. Did you have to, over the years, learn that you need to eat more?
Definitely. Yeah. And also with like feeding clients too, a lot of people, I'll get their weight, I'll get their goals. And I'm super specific about that. Like, what do you want to do? Like, why are you hiring me? What do you want me for? They'll give me their answer. And then sometimes like I'll send them the nutrition plan and they'll be like, whoa, this is too much calories. Or I think this is too much food. I can't eat all this. It's like, well, you're coming to me like you're so overweight and you're telling me that this is too much food. Like, no, eat the food. You'll be fine. We're going to build your metabolism and then we're going to start pulling the food. So it's just, that's why people hire me, because they don't know. But
were you that person though?
You're
10 years ago.
You fight this now. Where the theme of the backstory of this podcast is, are you going to skip the Arnold and take a long off season? You've only had 3 months.
Yeah.
You're like 149, 150. Like, you are not big at all.
Yeah.
Relative to your contest weight, in my opinion, like shape's still there, and you're already like, wow, I'm uncomfortable.
No.
Boy, I'm getting big.
For real.
Nah, I can't post anything on Instagram. It's too thick. So it starts to play with your mind. And if you really want, and if you really wanted to push it, you don't really need to, how much more muscle do you need? But if you really wanted to push it, it would take more food. It would take more being uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's like the biggest thing is like all that food, it does make you like super uncomfortable. I don't have like the breathing problems or anything like that. Like I don't get that big, but I definitely like my fitness skills. I do feel it. Even getting down in like the splits and stuff, it's like, whoa, okay, my lower back, this is like a lot of chunk back here and doesn't feel right. But definitely the calories when they're high, it's tough.
So you're still dealing with all that, right?
Bit.
So even 10 years ago, it's still there that you're still dealing with. You know it's supposed to be there.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? You just don't like it.
Right. Yeah. And that's unfortunately how you make the improvements, right? You got to eat and be uncomfortable. And, you know, there's some girls that I've competed against for the last like decade and literally have not made any improvements. They look the exact same from 2015 to now. Zero changes. So
why do you think that is?
They maybe just don't take the training as serious.
Well, let's say you just hypothetically take one of those people, then they hire you and say, make me better, I'll do, you know, whatever you're going to say.
Yeah.
You know, what advice would there be? What would be the first place you're going to start?
I think it's 100% the training.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of like, especially for the fitness girls, there's maybe a handful that train like me and like a bodybuilder type power lifter type training where like a lot of them are just shit. I don't even know like what they do. Like
bands,
plyo, like jumping around and stuff. But that's the one thing with fitness is like you could literally be like a dancer or like a CrossFitter and you could still compete in fitness as long as you can do those like mandatory moves, put together a 2-minute routine and know how to hit the figure poses. You could be in fitness. I'm saying it like it's easy, but it's
I
not.
know, but in the first round, they still have to build the muscle, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So how has your training evolved over the 10 years of being a pro?
Yeah. I feel like I've always trained as like a bodybuilder, especially like back in the day, watching Jay Cutler on like YouTube, watching John on YouTube. It was like, this is the type of training that I want to do. I was never big on like the Instagram fads, like the booty stuff and all of that. I just wanted to train hard.
What is that? What does that mean? Like, how do you define hard? Because everybody's it's going to be relative to whoever's speaking, right?
Yeah. So for hard and like bodybuilder type, I like to do 1 to 2 like compound movements during a workout, whether it's like a squat or a bench press, shoulder press, something like that. And then I move into like the accessories. And do you have anything to add? Am I leaving anything out?
No. Hard is
it's vague.
Vague.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then the question is hard. What is hard?
Maybe it's like intensity. Like I like mentally kind of like switch. Like there's times where it's like, I'm just like, sometimes I feel like I'm not even there and I'm just like under the weight and I'm just moving it. Those are the workouts that I'm like, okay, that was a good day. And then I go home and nap. If I fall asleep on the couch, you know it was like a good workout. So I strive to have those days.
Yeah, a little bit of nausea at the end.
Usually, yeah. And I'm like, oh, I can't eat. I feel sick. But those are the days that I love and that, I hope I can still keep having.
Yeah. Well, you've been stringing a lot of them together this off season.
Yes.
You know, so that's good.
The reason I ask that is because, like you said, it's relative. Like somebody's only worked as hard as they've ever worked, and then that's their hardest, right? Where you know that on somebody else's scale, that could be not much, right? Where the example I've been trying to formulate in my own head is with powerlifting being my life for 20 years or whatever it was. I mean, it was from dusk till dawn. It was first priority, everything.
Yeah.
That's second priority. Totally 100% committed, where I know what that is now. Like I know what that all in thing is. I get that. I know what that is. And that makes me a little resilient to go all in on anything else, right? Because you're like, oh shit, man, I don't know if I want to do that, you know, because I know what that entails, right?
Yep.
But now I can step back, and if I'm looking at, say, other lifters that are in the sport that are saying that they want to be the best they can be, then I look at what they do, not just in training, but just what they do, like recovery, how they treat the whole day, how they eat, all that other kind of stuff. Then I can look at that, and in my brain, I'm thinking, now I'm not all in with my training, but I still train hard. I'm still serious about that. Yeah. But my 20 or 30% of what it used to be exceeds their 100%. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Totally. So it becomes this, how do you teach them that their level isn't really what they think it is, right? Mm-hmm. And this pertains to anything, right? So in other skill sets of life, yes, I have a business been around for 25 years. There's executives and CEOs that would look at me and say, dude, look, man, you're like fucking, the same thing I just said, you're like 5%. You don't know fucking dick compared to what's really out there. Yeah. And that's just being realistic with how people are, right? Where that's that weird thing when you say, look, I train hard. Because I think a lot of people will look at that. They can see through the video we did today and your videos on YouTube, what it looks like, and think, well, yeah, I train hard too. Yeah. Like, maybe, maybe not, because I had Mike Israel on yesterday, and it was an interesting conversation about failure and kind of how that all goes. It's somebody that knows how to contract hard, as you were doing today. That's a different level of fatigue. For sure, yeah. Than just doing 10 reps, or whatever. It's completely different. Yeah. And maybe it's an acquired skill because you got to learn how to flex that. You need to learn how to control the momentum, when to control the momentum, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that takes that hard to like another level. Yes. Because there's an easy path. You see what I'm saying? On some of your exercises today, there's an easy path that you're just like, okay, I do this, then I can get to the 10, or I can do this, and it's way harder. And you got to manipulate that, and play with that. Yeah. That's what determines that intense effort, the effort, right? That goes into that set. And I love that too. I mean, this is why I train, right? Yeah. It's for that shit like that, is the effort that's kind of in there. But I think training wise, that holds a lot of people back, right? Where they could actually do less than they do now and get more out of it. Yeah. Because they're just breezing through 4 sets of 10. Right. Because it just says, say you give a client a training and here's what it is. And they just go through that. Right. And then if you watch them, you're like, what did you just do? Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I have like some people like, send me your video of doing this, and then they'll send it and I'll be like, what the frick? Like, no, there's like zero intensity there. That's like not how you're supposed to have your feet. And then I had like correct it all. It's not a bad thing, but it's something that you kind of have to like either teach or like the person just needs to know or like tap into it. What are things that helped you figure that out? Because you came through a different path, right? You're coming through a very dynamic, right? A very explosive background. Yeah. Where the last thing that you want to do is control force. Yes. You're always like, you get what I'm saying? So at some point, you started to figure it out. Yeah. So like being a gymnast, and I'm just like more of like a visual learner, and I have to like see it and feel it. So when you were like grabbing me around the waist and like, you're like, brace, and then I crunched down on my abs, you're like, no, that's your abs, like brace. And it was like the entire trunk. I never felt that before. And I wouldn't have even known how to like flex that if you weren't there physically grabbing me. I guess it's like mentally, I need to feel it and see it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. But it's over at least. Let me try to reframe the question a little bit. Over the last 15 years, I'm sure the first time you went into a weight room, it was just sets and the reps. Yeah. And then at some point, something had to start to click where it's like, no, I need to do this more like a bodybuilder. Right. Right? What are some of the things that helped you make that realization? Ooh, maybe actually like not seeing certain body parts develop. So like hamstrings being like super weak, like non-existent, like literally hot dog legs, like just like butt and then just boop straight down. So I think like thinking, okay, how do I contract my hamstrings?
So like watching videos and like just really like diving into that information, like, okay, well, to contract your hamstrings, you got to tilt your pelvis forward and almost like think of it as a bicep curl, like you're squeezing your hamstring up, just like stuff like that. So
even
I think
when we train together, right, over time, you learn that machine, I can't contract my hamstrings as well as that exercise, right? Like I might do stiff-legged deadlifts where you like lying extensions, right?
True.
So I think that plays a big part too.
Yeah.
What grip, what foot position, you know, sometimes it's not 150 pounds, you feel it at 110, right? You're good at that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it's not about form, you just gotta lift the fucking weight.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the compound stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And then sometimes there's like, you got to feel it in that little part of your tie-in, right? And I think that's where bodybuilding comes in. I actually think you're great. You're better than that at me. So yeah, I think that's a strength.
Thanks.
Where I'm trying to get there is there's a lot of things that we all take for granted. You know, like the biceps, a great example. Everybody should, if they lift weights for a little bit of time, knows what it feels like to flex their bicep, right? And I think that mind-muscle connection or whatever we're talking about, maybe it's because they flex it in the mirror so much and they kind of develop that.
Yeah.
The hamstrings is like a different game. Lats are a completely different game, right? It takes time. But at some point in time, you have to make that realization that this matters.
Yes.
Right? And for you, it sounds like that realization was, this body part is not where it should be. So I have to figure out how to target that body part.
Yeah.
And then going online and going through those, you know, rabbit holes of, okay, is it a movement thing that I'm not doing right? Or if it's the tempo or, you know,
Right.
and just self-discovery
Yes.
after seeing what other people are doing. Is it?
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Good coaching too.
Yeah. Good
I
coaching.
mean, John was genius at that stuff.
Yeah.
You're really good at that stuff. I mean, you guys have come in to kind of the circle over the last couple of years. You know,
Yeah.
it's a strength,
Yes.
you know.
Now that would fall into that category if you could go back 10 years ago and speak to yourself, right? That would be one of those things, like learn how to target the muscle group you're trying to train.
Big time.
Yeah. All right. So with the nutrition part, we kind of tap danced around it a little bit. You know, find the foods that work for you, right? The eat more. You still have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's a big one. Were there other things just outside of water manipulation, just like hydration, sleep, recovery type of things that you really didn't click for you until it had to click for you?
Yeah. It was kind of like once I started winning, like, how can I be more optimal?
Yeah.
Which was definitely like recovery.
Yep.
Like we really focus on, you know, after a training session to shut it, we'll like shut down the house. Like if he doesn't have like work calls and stuff, like we shut the house down, we go separate, take a 20-minute nap, meet back up, have a meal. That's super important.
So after training?
After training, yep. My daily routine in the morning, I wake up, I do my cardio, and then I stretch downstairs. Sam gave me like, I want to say it was like 2 years ago, like exercises to do to help strengthen my back and my hamstrings. I do those every morning. I stretch every morning. So that's been a game changer too. And like, as I've gotten older too, it's hard to keep your flexibility. Like you have to be on that every day. So that's helped a lot, staying on top of that. What else do we do? Tissue work. I do a lot of, like deep tissue type massage, ART stuff with Miguel. He's works out of the Dragon's Lair now. He's called the Torture Room on Instagram. Man, that guy, he saved me from a lot of like
miracle worker.
Yeah, like injuries, like hardcore. I was supposed to have surgery on my bicep last year. The surgery was scheduled for the Thursday. I went and saw Miguel on Saturday. It wasn't actually my bicep. It was my back. Something was pulling in my back, making everything all tight up in here. It was funny because Dr. Serrano like was on a FaceTime call with me and he's like, do not go into surgery. It's your back. It's your back. And I'm like, okay, like you're in Ohio. I can't even see you. I'm going to schedule it. Like I can't get any more cortisone. The surgeon or the doctor's saying to do it. But yeah, Miguel did some like tweaks in my back and like elbowed it in and everything. And within like a day, I was better. And I haven't had any bicep tendonitis since. So
Yeah, that was awesome. You mentioned like routine and like getting optimal. I did think, if you think back over the last couple of years, we went through I don't know, it was a couple months where we really focused on sleep. Like, how do we improve our sleep? So we made all these steps, like tracking it and the cooler room and, you know, all these little 10 different things. And then, yeah, recovery we've done.
Well, out of those things, what are the things that worked, that helped? Because a lot of people battle with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just a plug here.
Yeah.
Uller is the greatest invention ever. Yeah. It's like a topper that goes on top of your mattress.
Yeah.
You get to set it to the coolness level. I'm a very hot sleeper. So I'm like, fucking life changing. Set that thing on 60.
yeah.
Cool as can be. I don't wake up sweaty. I don't wake up.
I don't know what
so
ours
much
is.
better.
I have something like that as well. It's like it's a thin mattress and it's got water that goes through there.
I'm
It's
telling
like,
you, Uller, they're expensive. It's
yeah.
worth it. I also mouth tape now. It's freaking awesome. So I breathe through my nose. I think that's been great for me. And then I track my sleep. You know, it's ghetto. It's just that little Aurora ring. I care. I want to see what that score is the next morning.
it sucks when it says you're not ready, though, man.
I know. Yeah.
Pisses me off.
Yeah. So, but it does make me like actively aware of, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to, I still train. I mean, I don't let it live my life, but I'm going to try to go to bed a little earlier. So, I think, so we went on that sleep kick for a while. We went on the recovery kick for a while. This didn't work. That did. So we just kind of think of like, what's the new thing we're going to like kind of incorporate into our routine. Daily routine is everything, for successful people. So I think that's been good for us.
Go into that a little bit more. As an executive, what are some of the things that in your daily routine have to be there?
Yeah. So, I mean, what for me, just as I'm, getting older, cruising along, I do my morning cardio. Now that has to be, we're on the West Coast, so I got to be done by 6:30 because that's when the market opens, right?
Yeah.
So again, I have bigger priorities, but I can incorporate all this stuff in.
Yeah.
So I go to bed earlier now because I get my daily cardio in. I love it. 10 years ago, no cardio, cutting into my gains, all the stupid shit people think. Now, I mean, I swear by it. Good for the heart, everything else. So you got that morning cardio. I have my breakfast. Now I'm in front of the computer when the market opens. I do my stuff. I'm super motivated. Even sometimes, like, the work is exciting. Sometimes it's I want to get the work over so I can go train, right? Different days. But I'm in that daily routine. I have the same meals throughout the day, which are pretty easy, and I enjoy them all. So that makes it easy. I just think not every successful person trains, but I do think it's routine oriented, like what your day-to-day looks like. When you go to bed, what you put your mouth. I think a big thing, instead of just, we both do cardio every morning, but, like a daily walk, I think we've started to do that. Doesn't detract from like your training. There's no recovery required, but it really helps digestion, feels good, just easy. Throw your headphones on, walk around the block for 20, 30 minutes. It's easy. It clears your head. You actually, it sounds horrible, but no, it actually really starts to be like, relaxing, so there's just different little things like that just to cope. So in high stressful times, I tend to walk more.
You're in a fun market now.
Yeah, right. So it's more stressful work. So, okay, I got to deal with it better. It's not like I can't show up or I can't answer the phone. No, it's stressful times. I got to help people get through it. So I sure as shit better manage my own stress. Yes. And I think I have ways to do it. So.
Your Groundhog Day. So what does your normal day look like? You just laid his out. So.
Yeah. So same for me. I go to bed a little later than Matt, actually.
This is a new thing.
Yeah, this is pretty new because my food has been so high. I have to stay up a little later to eat my meals. Not that we both eat like 6 meals a day, but since I'm going to bed later, I wake up a little later as well. So I'll wake up, I'll do my cardio, stretch, my rehab stuff in the morning. And then I'll eat another meal. So I go meal 2 and then I hit the gym. Usually we go together, or if we can't go together, you're around like...
Yeah, later in the day.
Yeah. And then I have my nap, meal 4.
It's all around.
It's all meals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. It's all meals. And then, I'll do like dog walks. Not like super taxing or anything. Just get the dogs outside. They're like little wiener dogs, so they don't need a lot. And then if we have like any like errands that we have to do, I'll do that. Depending on the day. So right now I have my days scheduled where Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are my client check-in days. So that's usually like throughout the day. I have clients, Canada, Japan, like all over the place. So their time zones are all off. And as soon as the emails come in, like I just respond right away just to, you know, make sure that they're taken care of. So I don't really have like set times for that. And then, you know, I eat my meal 5, sometimes together, sometimes not. And then I start relaxing for the night. No phone, like I just throw that away. And then I watch The Office at nighttime until about like 10. And then I go to sleep.
Well, you said earlier that, you know, there's a window of opportunity. You know, for the sport, and it's nobody's business what your window is, right? So I'm not going to get into that, but it's closing, right? Every year it gets a little closer and closer and closer. Over the period of time, how has that changed how you approach each upcoming year, knowing that there isn't as many years left that you once had? Because it's the decision process has to be different, right? We're coming in 10 years ago. You know, that's a big window, right? Hell, you don't even know what's going on at that point. You're like, what the hell just happened? I'm a pro now. Now what? Right? And now, you know, in a way, each year could be a bonus year, you know, or, you know, whatever that window is, but it's a different process. How has that changed your thinking in regards to the planning moving forward?
I think since I took second this year at Olympia and at Arnold, it's definitely hit a lot harder. Like I'm really starting to like assess it in a different way where it's not like, okay, we're just rolling into the next show. It's like, no, I'm very strategic now. Like, it might be like almost a little obsessive because I'm trying to do all these things to be just 100%. But like you said, like I've been saying, this bodybuilding window is not long. And once you're at the top, it's fucking hard to stay there, you know, because people are always chomping at your feet, which that's the sport. That's the competitive lifestyle. But yeah, I definitely think, you know, we've had conversations about it where it's like, I'm going all in. Like I've literally put everything on the line to do this. And
she was a full-time phlebotomist, you know. And I think you were like 4th or 5th. At the top shows. And we were like, you know, let's try to fucking win the Olympia. We said in the next 3 years. You won it in the first year. So it changes the goals slightly. So I don't think there's like an end date. My big thing, just like the health and the, you know, I mean, it's a tough sport. That's why I always am kind of like your little, is it the angel or the devil in your ear? I don't
probably
know.
Both, you know?
Probably both, where I'm kind of like, I'm fully supportive of all in. You know, I mean, I think chance to be the greatest ever. You freaking go for it. I mean, I think this is, you know, I've just got the gift to do it, so go do it. So that's why a couple of years ago, let's just go all in. But that kind of that, hey, don't do this for, you know, another 10, 15 years. Because I just think it's diminishing returns. And like we talked about, you know, you just got to enjoy or try to like appreciate what you have. There's not that many swings left at the Arnold. There's not that many swings left at the Olympia. You could go win these little shows.
All day.
I don't want to, but that doesn't even get you out of bed really anymore. You know, so the stakes have gotten higher, which is a good thing.
How did fitness change your life? The competitive aspect. You know, so we're going back to what, 2010? Somewhere around there? Looking back, how would you say that's changed who you are?
Oh my God, drastically. Like if I didn't compete, I would still be living in Canada, probably be a cop or something. That's what I went to school for there. But yeah, my life has changed drastically. You know, moving to America, meeting Matt, competing in fitness, having the privilege to be at the top. I guess I knew in my heart when I was younger that I wanted to be Miss Fitness Olympia. So when I achieved that 2 years ago, it was like, man, I fucking did it. Like this little girl had a dream. She set out, she did it, she accomplished it. And I mean, yeah, my life would be so different without fitness. I'm just super grateful for, everything that it's brought me.
Now that you're in this other role where you're helping other girls through that, how does that make you feel?
It's the people who do their contest preps with me and then go into a show and win. It's like a different feeling. I had a girl turn pro in fitness this year. And it was like, it was a different feeling. It was like, man, that's like, I helped her like achieve her dream to become a fitness pro. And now she's going to like go on and keep competing. And it's very humbling. And then I have like general health people who are just like male and female, just like losing weight. They lose whatever, 10 to 20 pounds. And it's like, shit, like that's freaking cool. Like I could be a positive like influence in their life to get healthy. Like, and that's all I could ask for. It's
well, it's kind of full circle, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's changed your life. Mm-hmm. Now you're in this position to where you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
For somebody else. Mm-hmm. And it's a different perspective.
Yeah.
It's a different calling per se. Mm-hmm. And it changes how you move forward.
Yeah.
Right? Because in a way that could make you feel better than the titles that you've won. Right? Because you don't know where a lot of these women are coming from.
Yeah.
And where they've been and what they've been through.
Yeah.
Same as they don't know what you've gone through and been through, that fitness helped pivot, who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Just not only from the competitive standpoint, but would you have the same motivation? Would you have the same discipline? Would you have, all these same things that this sport has taught you?
Right.
Where, helping these girls to see those same things is a huge impact, and that over time, they're going to do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I've taken like the last like decade of my life, everything that I've like learned, and now I'm like helping other people with like, my strengths, my losses, the things I've learned. I'm able to like help them and show them.
Maybe more than that though, because you just said it changed your life.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's there's more going on there.
Yeah.
Than just prepping for a show.
Sure.
And then all these other things.
Yeah.
Because I personally feel we all find these stupid sports for a reason. And I don't know what that reason is, but we all gravitate towards these individual sports that are strength oriented, physique oriented for some fucked up reason. Yeah. Right? I mean, because transparently, most are fucked up. Right? Yeah. So it like just attracts people who are fucked up.
Do you think it attracts a certain people? Is it like an introverted? I don't want to
no, I believe so.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, it saves a lot of people. That could have gone down, for me, could have gone down the wrong path. Yeah. In the wrong hole. And it changes and it teaches things that otherwise they may not learn. Right. And then when those same people end up becoming a person of influence, to be able to do that for other people. Yeah. That's to me, that's a big thing. Yep. It's why we have a company that's mission, live, learn, pass on. Yeah. Because it's like this weird genre, of people that like I said, that gravitate towards these sports, that they're not always the same. They're not always team athletes. There's more now that come from more teams just because of the popularity, of all this. But usually they're fucking misfits, They really didn't fit anywhere else, but then they find their fit. Yeah. You know, then it's like, hey, I'm a misfit, you're a misfit, you're a misfit. Like, we're all fucking misfits. So let's just be cool and just lift weights and be fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it becomes this really cool community if you peel back all the bullshit, the egos and all that other kind of crap that really isn't even real. You know, if you really get down to a lot of it, it's really not. But it's just false bullshit. You know, when you peel all that back, it's still people trying to get better.
Yeah.
You know, using a weight room is their means of doing that. You know, which is awesome, right?
Totally.
I mean, because I kind of lost my train of thought there again, kind of going down that rabbit hole of that whole thing. How do people find you as far as the client part? You know, because you obviously you can't take a ton of people.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have your own thing.
Yep.
So is it through Instagram? Is it through YouTube?
Yeah, both of them actually.
Yes.
Yeah. So when I have like availability, like in my posts or my YouTube video, I'll say like, hey, shoot me a DM or email me. And then that's how people will like reach out. And then I filter it a little bit, you know. I'll usually do like a consultation call with the person to make sure that, you know, their goals line up and like I can actually help them. I'm not going to take on someone who it just has unrealistic goals, right? There's been a couple times where women will reach out to me and they'll look like they're freaking 40 weeks out from a show and they're really like 12 weeks out. And it's like, I'm not going to do that to you and crash diet you. Because I wouldn't want to do that. Like that would freaking suck. And you're probably not going to win. So, yeah, I do a little bit of like, I guess scanning that way. But yeah, people can reach out to me on Instagram, on YouTube and, yeah.
So those are the best way to get a hold of you is Instagram, YouTube, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And Matt posts pictures of casinos and his office and some other things that
actually my wife posts pictures of that stuff.
Actually, that's true. That's true.
I am like almost like a non-user of Instagram at this point. But
yeah, pretty much. I want to thank you guys for coming out. You know, we trained a video today with the legs, and tomorrow we're going to do back, which will be a good time as well. And we'll just wrap this thing up. I haven't figured out a really good ending for the podcast yet, so I just say we're done and we're done. There we go. So thank everybody for listening. Thank you guys for coming out.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.